you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche And after 22 years, Raymond Mark!
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
Whoa, you need that camera on there. Though maybe you wouldn't want to look at my face, Pierre. It might be better off here. But here I am, Jimmy Murphy, Pierre McGuire. Another edition of the Eye Test. Pierre, I am in the same province as you now, my friend.
You're living large. It's good.
Yep. Big thanks. My friend Lee McIntyre for letting me stay at her place. It is beautiful. I just went over and dropped my car off by McLean's Public House, Pierre, where we will be tomorrow, 1420 Peel Street, downtown Montreal. We will be there live 4 to 5 p.m. in our normal time, teeing you up for the Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens match, which, man, if it's anything like the Canadiens and Panthers were last night, we're in for a dandy. I think the Bruins are going to be a little tougher than people think. I've been saying it all along, Pierre. They're playing for some pride. It's always a rivalry game, so we'll see what happens. But we are going to talk some Toronto Maple Leafs very shortly here. Actually, we've got our guest now, so let's go right to him because I know he wants to get over to the Paul Maurice press conference in Toronto. So join us live from Toronto right now is Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com. Hey, Zeiss, how are you?
Welcome to Scotiabank Arena, boys, and thanks for having me on. There's some kind of cruel April Fool's joke happening here like a day after. What's with the blizzard we're having outside?
You guys getting right? Wow. Yikes.
Are they softening? They're softening up the Panthers, you know?
Yeah.
They can't stay at the elbow room all the time.
I like the lid too, Zeiss.
Well done, Zeiss. Well done. The elbow.
Hey, I'm channeling my inner Murph here, Pierre.
That's good. I like it. That's
You
good.
gotta get one of those for sure.
I need it.
Mike, listen, before we get into the game tonight, I just want to get your sense of how this year has been, and even last year to an extent, but even more so this year, has been different for the Leafs in terms of it's not about the regular season anymore. It's about getting there, obviously position yourself the best you can, but getting to the real season and then making it count. Well,
I'm not sure that it started last year. We can go back like a few years. I mean, this is a franchise that has won one playoff series in 21 years. And I every time I say that, every time I type it into my laptop, it seems kind of surreal because, it's been since 2016 that they've had this, this foursome of Riley, Marner, Matthews,
Nylander.
Yep, and then Tavares came a couple of years later. So we're not even talking about challenging for a Stanley Cup. We're talking about getting out of the first round, and obviously they've our buddy Marchand, he's so warm and fuzzy to all the Toronto fans. Okay. And once a villain, always a villain. They can put a different jersey on him tonight. He loves to play off that. But Look at, when he was with the Bruins, they beat the Leafs 4 consecutive series, and not only 4 consecutive series, 4 consecutive Game 7s, including last year. So I think this has been going on for a while, Murph. Call us in April when it, in the case of today, snows. But call us in April when the playoffs come. Yeah. You know what? To me, and a lot of people that watch this great podcast and listen to it, they might not get the cultural reference of this, but anybody that watched Charlie Brown, the old cartoon, there's a scene in it where Lucy, who is Charlie Brown's nemesis, every year she goes, "Okay, Charlie Brown, I'll be the holder. You kick the field goal." Every single time she pulls the ball away just as he goes to kick it. Well, you know what? Let me know when she doesn't pull it away, because it's, wash, rinse, repeat, and that's the same with the Leafs. Geez, somebody start the lawnmower in here or what? I've just seen it so often, and that's not a shot at these players or the core, but I need to see, you know, what they do in the regular season transform to the playoffs. I mean, it's great. Like last year, Austin Matthews scored 69 goals, and I'm not pointing at him specifically, but it's just as an example. But you know, call me in April. Score some big goals at the end of April and May, and then you know, I think for a lot of these guys in the core, that's when their legacy is going to be established. I mean, we're not talking about getting the final. We're talking about getting out of the first round.
Yeah.
Mike, I don't want to drive you nuts, but you got the potential for an RFA in Matthew Nyes.
Yep.
You got the potential for a UFA in Mitchell Marner. You got the potential for a UFA in John Tavares. I know it's playoff time coming up, Mike, but that's pretty big playoff stuff too.
Well,
where are they heading with all this stuff, Mike?
Well, here's the thing, Pierre. Because the cap is going up as big as it is, or as much as it is, so I think that you can, depending on if that's the core that you want. And the one thing I'll say about Brad Treliving, he's done a good job of bringing this defense in. I mean, Murph, what's going on? The Bruins are trading with the Leafs and the Panthers. What's next? Dogs and cats living in harmony? Like what's
snow on April 2nd.
But you know, Brandon Carlo had a few hiccups in his first couple games. Understandable. But he's been really, really solid. I was surprised the Bruins let him go. So, Treliving, you know, when you look at the defense, Pierre, looking at next year, most of the core of their defense, McCabe, Tanev, Carlo, Riley,
Ekman Larson.
Those guys are signed next year, and for digestible contracts, which, you know, digestible contracts and the Maple Leafs don't usually go hand in hand. But you got the cap going up. You got to figure Tavares, I believe he's got an average annual value of 11. So that's going to come down by 4 or 5. So even if you give Marner, say, $2 million a year, you can still sign Tavares. You're still going to have money because of what you save on his contract, plus the cap going up. You can give Marner a raise, give Nyes, you know, a hefty raise, and still fit that in against the cap. I mean, this is the first year, you know, since way before COVID that I think the Leafs have a little wiggle room in the cap. So I do see a route where they can get, you know, all 3 of those guys signed.
Mike, I was going to ask you in terms of the goaltending. Pierre called this from the get-go. He thought, you know, what they did in the offseason, adding Stolars, was maybe one of the most under the radar but most important moves of the offseason. And I'm just getting your take on how he's fit in there and also how it's helped Joseph Woll.
Well, you know, he's a veteran guy. He's had some injuries before, but, you know, a lot of the scouts that I talked to when that move was made, they agreed with exactly what Pierre said, is that this is an under-the-radar move. This guy is a big guy. He's steady. And I think, you know, Woll has had some injury problems himself. He runs hot and cold sometimes. But I think we've seen in the past, you know, not so much maybe the last couple of years with the Florida teams, whether it be Florida or Tampa. I mean, not everybody has a Bob or a Vasilevsky, but you know, you go back to those Pittsburgh teams. All right, I mean, it was Fleury and Murray. Hey, I never realized they rhymed. Look at me. But you know, it's very important to have that, and you can go by, you know, the hot hand. And it's funny because obviously in Toronto everything's under a microscope. So, you know, it's funny, a guy will have 3 or 4 good games, and it's like, well, obviously he's going to be the starter in game 1. No, people, it doesn't work that way. You know, Craig Berube has a Stanley Cup ring. Okay, he didn't get it by, you know, doing listening to the fans. Because right, Pierre, you listen to them, then you'll be
You'll
with
be
them.
sitting right next to him.
He's gonna go with the guy as it approaches, that has a hot hand. And the good thing is, they have a 1A and 1B, and I think that Stolarz has been very good for Wall. Bringing the young guy up, getting Wall to, even out, be more even keel. Okay, the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low, and so I think this is something that could work. And with apologies to Maple Leaf goalies of the past, and by no means do I blame goaltending, at least solely, for why the Leafs haven't won in the playoffs, but this does give Berube options, and sometimes you don't need your goalie in the playoffs to stand on his head, although it would be nice to see that here. People would argue that you have to go back to Eddie Belfour until you saw a goalie who stole games in the playoffs, but don't lose games, okay? Just be steady enough. They're a good team, and keep your teams in the game. So I really like what they've done here. And again, when we talk about the fact that, you've got the Nylanders and the Marners and the Matthews making a lot of money, and Tavares this year, they're not paying a lot of money for their goalies. And so that's where it kind of balances out a bit.
Mike, I know how hard you work at this. I've known you a real long time, 3 decades. So if you disagree
Thanks
with
for bringing that up,
I know. So if you disagree with something I'm about to say, please tell me, and I would not take any offense. Mike, I think the best roster in the Eastern Conference right now belongs to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you agree or disagree?
Whoa, no, I disagree. I will go with the Florida Panthers. Them getting Seth Jones, them getting Marchand. I know it's not the Brad Marchand that we've seen in the past, but a lot of that is contingent on what Matthew Tkachuk. And if he's able to come back for the playoffs, and you got Bobrovsky back there, I love their roster. I think that from a pure talent-wise, that you're not far off, because I think that Tampa, Toronto, and Florida are all very close. Beginning of the year, I would have said the Rangers too, but
Nashville and the Rangers have been the 2 most disappointing teams in the league.
Yeah, and I think I picked them to go to the final. If we're talking about pure talent, So, and that, Pierre, to your point, I do think that these three teams are so close talent-wise, and that's why, to me, it's paramount. I mean, look.
Don't finish in the 2-3 hole, Mike. Is that what you're saying?
Don't finish in the 2-3 hole. And when I'm saying this,
you've been saying that for a month now.
Pierre, I know. I went to school in Ottawa. I know you've worked there. You have a soft spot for Ottawa, and you know what? I love their team. I really do. I just want to. I want to know. I know Allmark is there, but this is the way this team should have. I thought would kind of gel a couple of years ago. But that notwithstanding, if the Leafs finish first in the Battle of Ontario, Ottawa's dominated Toronto this year, so that would be difficult. But having said that, and not a shot against the Senators, but you don't want to have anything to do with being the 2 and 3 in this conference. And if Toronto somehow can get, first place, and look, it's in their hands, okay? With the remaining schedule, they have 2 games left against Florida, 1 against Tampa. And I asked Craig Berube about this yesterday, and they understand. That doesn't guarantee that they'll finish first, but man, that's a hell of a good step towards it. It's important, even though the Battle of Ontario would be hard, and I would not guarantee by any means that Toronto would win that, but boy, I mean, you finish first, and then you sit in your off days between games and watch Florida and Tampa just beat the you-know-what out of each other. Not only is that important in the short term, but, if you have aspirations of going a lot further, and it's no difference between Dallas and Colorado in the other division, although Winnipeg had better watch out because here come the Stars.
Yeah.
But those, to me, those are, I know that there's that saying that you got to beat whoever you play, you have to beat. Okay, that's the hand that you're dealt. But when you've won one series in 21 years, and you have a chance to make it easier on yourself, then go make it easier on yourself.
Mike, now, look, I have no idea what might have been bothering him since he came back from the Four Nations or even before that in terms of Austin Matthews and if he's hurt, whatever. But besides what he might be battling health-wise, what have you thought about the way he has bought into Berube's system? Because I see a lot of people knock him like he doesn't have the points he should have and this and that. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and saying, you know what? Maybe it's okay that he sacrificed a little offense to play some defense and buy into that system and stay within that structure. Do you look at it the same way?
I do, Murph. And the other thing that I've seen is maybe in the last couple of weeks, I've seen that explosiveness in his gait out of the, that I haven't seen all season. And there are plays where if it's low down and he's got the puck at the circle, instead of going behind the net, he's now charging towards the net. And this is, I think that's important for two reasons. Number one, I think it shows signs that he's getting healthier, guys. And number two, the timing of it. It's the right time. And like I said, it's not like his skills have diminished. Give the kid time to heal. But this is when you want to be playing your best hockey. And again,
Ride it in, yeah.
You know what? You scored almost 70 goals. That's great. But, they didn't come at the end of April and May. And so I've just seen a difference in his play. He's being more physical. And to your point, Murph, yeah, he has bought in. And a lot of times on television, as Pierre can tell you better than anyone,
right.
You don't see a lot of the little things of the 200-foot game. This guy, defensively, is very, very underrated, and he has a skill. I've talked to a few GMs about this. His ability to steal pucks off an opponent when they have it is among the best in the league. So, I think he's bought all in. I think for the most part, the team has bought all in. And it's interesting because I notice going back to 2019 when Berube was coach of the Blues, I after the Leafs were eliminated in the first round, I covered them for the next 3 rounds. And it was very, very easy early in games to see if the Blues were going to be successful that night, because when they played north-south, they won. When they started getting fancy, dancy, and doing the east-west stuff, they lost. Now, to Pierre's earlier point, I would say that there's more high-end skill on this Toronto team than there was on that St. Louis team. But I think that, when the Leafs start doing the ice capades things, they get in trouble. And I'll tell you one thing. Against a team like Florida, you can't do that. You cannot do that.
No.
Hey, Mike, what's the fan base like in Toronto right now? Are they excited or is there trepidation?
Well, right now they're pissed off because they're shoveling their driveways. But, yeah, I think, you know what, Pierre? I think there's a bit of both. And I think that the mood of the fan base, or the vibe, if you call it, will be determined by these last 2 weeks. Because if they're in first place now, like I said, they have 3 games left against these other teams. If they flop in these games, I think they go in the playoffs. It's not like people are going to say, oh, it's a done deal, they're going to lose. But I do think that people are going to have in their back of their minds, here we go again. Right. If they somehow can win this division, if they somehow play well in those 3 games and win at least 2 of them, I think people will start going like, wow, they actually played good, and the way they should play, the way they need to play to win against very, very high-end opponents. And if that happens, I think there will be more optimism. So I think those 3 games are going to go a long way. You know, and you can't judge an entire season by it, but this is the time of year where we all know the way that you're playing going into the playoffs, confidence-wise and on the ice, are, you know, will determine a lot of times how your fan base views your team and your chances of in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Good stuff, Mike. Well, listen, I know you got to get down and see our good friend Paul Maurice, who's always a pleasure to cover his press conferences. So enjoy. Thanks for joining us today. All right. Hey,
it was great to see you. You two are some of my best friends in hockey. I just want to quickly say, you know, I'm just over a year removed from my heart and kidney issues, which were scary. Pierre knows all about serious health issues. I can't thank you both enough for your support and your friendship through that. It means more than you know. And hey, let's do this again when playoffs start.
Yeah, guys, I'll see you soon on the road. You're too good looking for me, Zeiss. Come on.
Oh yeah, look at this. Hey, I comb my hair for you.
We'll see you, Mike. Hopefully in Montreal someday, my friend. Have a good one. All right, Mike Zeisberger joining us here on the eye test. He's a character. He's a beauty.
I've had some interesting evenings with the old Zeiss on the road at different rinks in the country.
Oh, yeah.
It's been pretty neat. Yep.
I was up here one St. Patrick's weekend in Montreal when Zeiss was here. There was a Leafs Canadiens game, and yeah, we had a good time. He's such a character. He's got so many great stories because he's covered so much. He's seen so much over the years.
He's been at it a long time.
Yeah,
started young and he's still going, and he. Like last year was pretty scary for him, as you know.
Yeah, I know. He's always been good too. Like he took me kind of under his wing when I was younger, but I've seen it even since then. The way he always makes sure, like if you're when you're young and you're in a press conference or you're in the locker room, and it's intimidating at times. And I've seen him take kids aside and just be like, "Hey, you got this. Go in there." And he's always been like that. He's a great guy. So
he's a really good person.
Glad to have him on. All right, Pierre, let's get to that game last night here in Montreal. I mean, that was, as you said to me on the phone driving up, an instant classic there. And it's getting to the point, Pierre, where I think that the fans and the team never think that they're out of it. I mean, they feel like something's coming, that they're at least going to give it a good run. They may not win the game, but they're going to go down swinging no matter what. Is that the vibe you're getting out to?
I wish I was in the building. It's hard because I got so many games going, but obviously the Colorado game a couple Saturdays ago was really cool when they came back. I mean, they should never have come back in that game, but they did. The road trip stunk until the last game, but I could feel last night, even though they were down a goal and they only had 4 shots on goal in the third period, people weren't walking out on the team.
Nope.
Earlier in the year they might have. They weren't walking out. So I think that's positive.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say, these players haven't quit on each other.
Oh,
Jimmy, that's really an important part of this right now.
Huge.
Like they're playing for each other. That's really apparent. It's really apparent. And the coaches had to make some hard decisions. I mean, they took Roy out of the lineup. They took Jack Guy out of the lineup. Like they've had to do some tough stuff. And I think there might be some other guys coming out of the lineup.
Yep.
With Kapanen coming over. So we'll see what happens in Montreal. I give the coaches a lot of – it's not easy, Jimmy, at this time of the year. I've had to do it.
Yeah.
It's not easy to take guys out of the lineup that have helped you most of the season. And so, no, I find it interesting. I respect this coaching staff a lot. And the one thing I would say to add on that, Jimmy, they were not an elite staff at the beginning of the year. They were not. They made a lot of mistakes, Jimmy, a lot of mistakes. You can't say that about them anymore.
Agreed. When you were a coach, Pierre, you think back to those days, and I wonder what did it feel like for a coach when you start to see the team bond and play as a unit and really buy in and always be supporting each other on the bench? What was that feeling like?
Really special.
Yeah.
You could sense it in practice. You could sense it when you'd get, to the airport. Now, back in those days, we weren't chartering. We were going commercial. But the guys would all hang around in like a pack, and they'd play cards or they talk to one another. And it was really cool to see everybody interact. If the team's playing poorly and guys are disjointed, you see 3 or 4 guys in one corner of the airport, 4 or 5 guys in the other, 2 or 3 guys hanging out by the bathroom. Back then you could smoke inside. I mean, so it was different.
Yeah.
Jimmy, it was different. Now I think it's great when you see all these guys so tight. And I'm watching on the bench I watched during TV timeouts.
I figured you do.
What's going on? And they're tight. They're good. They're tight on it. So it's good.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and it was just Suzuki, Pierre. I was listening to our friends on TSN 69 in midday show there, Sean Campbell and Mitch Gallo. And it was interesting. They read a preseason top 20 centers in the NHL ranking from NHL.com. And I think NHL.com at that point, so this was written in August, he was like 18.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to say this right now. I said it to a very good friend of mine who's a Stanley Cup champion, not as a coach and not as a player, but as a management person.
Okay.
And extremely successful. Talked to him about 2 hours ago. And we were talking about Nick Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
And George McPhee's a good friend of mine, the president of hockey operations in Vegas. And I said, do you think George wants a mulligan on the Suzuki deal?
Right.
And he said to me, you know what? I didn't even think of that. He goes, yeah, he does.
He catch by you, Pierre.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Could you imagine if the Vegas Golden Knights had Nick Suzuki in their lineup right now?
Oh, my gosh.
With Jack Eichel. Good luck.
Yeah.
Nobody be talking about Dallas or Colorado right now. I'm telling you right now, they would not. They would not. So that's just one thing we were talking about. And then the next thing is, and I really enjoyed this last night, working with Tony Marinaro and Max Lapierre last night. And we've been doing those post games most of the year now for the Canadiens. I really appreciated Max saying something that really resonated with me. And Tony said he's a superstar, and I've always said that about Lane Hudson. You know that. Before anybody even knew who Lane Hudson was, I was telling people who he was. And Max said something last night that really resonated with me. And it's like, what is it, Max? He's a franchise player. He is a franchise player.
Wow.
That is the highest acclaim you can give any player in the league.
From a former player, too.
You know what I'm saying? When you say that about a player, he's a franchise player, that is about as big a compliment as you can give a guy in the league.
Great segue there, because what I was going to do was go from Suzuki to Hudson, and not only Suzuki, but just all the players when he's on the ice. They seem to have, I know this sounds cheesy, it's cliche, but a sixth sense sometimes of where to go, and they know no matter what, he's going to get that puck to them. It just seems like there's this silent confidence out there, and they're almost reading each other out there. I didn't see that in the beginning of the year, but as it's gone on here and they've, started to gain this momentum, I see that a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. I agree with that. The other thing, too, is Nick wants the pressure.
Oh, my God.
You see him smiling on the bench. It's like, this is no big deal. Give it to me. I'm ready to take this. Let's go. And, and I Cole Caulfield, a Hobie Baker winner. It's so appropriate. Hobie Baker winner playing in Montreal. Phenomenal goal scorer. Look how happy he is when Suzuki does something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Goal scorers like to score goals. They assists are fine, but they like to score.
Yeah.
Watch Cole Caulfield's reaction after Suzuki scores.
I know.
It's really nice to see.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is they got a big guy in their line that people are giving a hard time to in Slavkovsky. That kid's really good, Tony or Jimmy. I was going to call you Tony. Jimmy. He's really good, and I know he's going to make a lot of people eat their words.
Mm-hmm.
Just like all the rocket scientists that were saying that Lane Hudson couldn't play in the league because he was too small. I want to see a couple of them because they know who they are, and I hope they're watching this. Where's your apology? Where's your apology?
Yeah, I know. What you were saying about Suzuki too, where you're saying, give it to me. I want this moment right now. The one thing I love about him, and I guess I got to watch it a lot. I was blessed watching Bergeron all these years up close. And I know it's an easy comparison to make, but that's something that reminds me a lot of Bergeron there, that you're the first one to bring that up. He has this quiet confidence. It's not boisterous. It's not, look at me, I'm the man, but he knows he is the man and he knows he can get it done. And you can see it just in his eyes when he's on the bench. Like you said, it's a great catch by you.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because Patrice Bergeron is from right outside Quebec City. Mm-hmm. And I bet you when he was a kid, he was watching Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg before they moved to Colorado.
Yep.
And I've said ever since I watched Nick Suzuki the first time, obviously he's a right-hand shot, Joey's a left. Mm-hmm. But I see so much Joe Sakic and Nick Suzuki. So much Joe Sakic and Nicky. It's the desire to dominate in every facet of the game. Playmaking, goal scoring, face-offs, shorthanded, power play, making your line mates better. Joe was a master. You had the privilege of meeting him over in Ireland this year, and I know you had a good time with him. Joe's a master.
And a class act.
Oh my gosh. Amazing guy. Amazing. Yeah. Just awesome. But when you drew up game plans to try to shut Joe down, and I had to do that a lot of different nights over the course of time, it was never easy because he was very hard to predict what he would do. Yep. And it's the same with Nick,
Yeah.
Nick's the same, Jimmy. He's the same.
Pierre, anything else? I mean, everyone's obviously talking about Hudson and Suzuki right now, and all the big guns. But is there a player you've been noticing with the Canadiens over the last, month and a half, since we came back from the Four Nations, that stood out to you in a quiet way?
Well, there's two. Christian Dvorak. They don't get that opportunity to score last night, Jimmy, in overtime if Dvorak's not out to take the initial draw. And he's been really, I think he's been a driving force with Gallagher and Anderson. That's a very good depth line for Montreal. Yep. But he's the guy that's really instituted a lot of it, and I give him a lot of credit. I think it's easy with Anderson because he's bought into what Marty St. Louis was selling. And Galley's been,
that line in
fantastic. Galley's, he's slotted as a 3-4 guy now. That's perfect for Brendan at this time in his career, and he makes an impact. But to me, the most improved player in the Montreal Canadiens is Jaden Struble.
Nice. That's a good call.
Most improved player. I know he's from your alma mater at St. Sebastian's, but I think he's the most improved player in the Montreal Canadiens.
He really has been something else. Pierre, back to that game, though, tonight. I just wanted to get your take. Can you see Florida bouncing back at all from last night, or is that too hard, or is it better that they're playing right away?
They had to dig deep last night, and that had to be a kick right in the mouth. Mm-hmm. It had to be a kick right in the mouth.
Losing to them Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, back to back. And they kind of came – look, we talked about it yesterday. They didn't play Bobrovsky because they know the game they wanted to win on this early part of the trip before they go into Detroit is they want to beat Toronto.
Yeah.
So they didn't go with their iron last night in goal. They went with Vanacek. Now, you can't blame him. It wasn't his fault. None of that stuff's his fault. Like the Anderson goal, nobody's stopping that. That's a great play by Caden Gooley to get the puck to the net and a good deflection by Anderson. And then you look at the Suzuki tying goal. What the heck do you want him to do?
Yeah.
Like at some point, you can't just lay out and cover the whole net.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a tough game for Florida to win tonight. I think what Mike Zeisberger said, Jimmy, was really good. Yep. And he said, look, Toronto sees these 3 games. One of them is against Florida. Then they got Tampa. Then they got Florida. And it's next week. It's next week coming up. And they know they got an easy week this week, Toronto. They got Florida tonight. They got Columbus Saturday night at home. Then they get on the Big Bird and they head south with a little fun, a little sun, and a whole lot of hockey. They got 48 hours of hockey they got to worry about.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go somewhere in the South now, it's really good if you're a northern team because you can get some guys healed up on the off days. You can. And I think Toronto will take advantage of that.
Good call by you. Well, let's segue then into our wonderful sponsors. We'll start with TCS, but then we'll get to Betway because it does involve this Toronto-Florida game. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For no obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. And of course, our wonderful friends over at Betway. You can still go there right now. And even if your first bet loses, you'll get $200 credit if you're a new customer. So sign up right there with that QR code in front of you if you're watching. And if not, you can go to the website right now, hit the details section there, and create your new account to redeem your welcome offer. This offer is not available in Ontario right now. So if you want to get some action on this pick that I'm going to do right now, you might have to drive over to Quebec right now. No, just come. Anyhow, no, but you can't do it in Ontario right now. And of course, you must be 18 plus and always bet responsibly. All right, let's go to my sick pick of the night.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by Betway.
All right, I'm keeping it short and simple here, going right to that Toronto game with the Panthers. I'm liking the Toronto Maple Leafs on the puck line. I think this is a tough one for the Panthers right now. I think the Leafs play them tough. They get an empty netter at the end. I'm feeling like a 4-2 score right now for this game. So you can get plus 225 value if you bet them at minus 1.5. Again, that's the Maple Leafs minus 1.5 at plus 225 value. And then I'm going to go, I said, I think the score is 4-2. So I'm going with the over 5.5 on the over-under there at minus 118. All right, let's get to that Q&A. What do we got? Filterless Bear. Pierre, would you consider shutting down Doc for the whole season next year to spend the year building those knees as strong as possible?
No. I want him aggressively being rehabbed right now, and long exit interview with him. He probably already has talked to him, but tell him exactly what we expect from him to start a training camp next year. But no, I would not shut him down.
And Pierre, I would imagine part of that too is, I don't know if everyone realizes how much a whole year off just does to your rhythm in your game.
Especially when you're a bigger player. When you're a bigger player, everybody's all excited about Gabriel Landeskog right now. Go watch him 2 weeks ago and compare to now. It's a totally different player.
Yeah. So I mean, it's tough to recover from that. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, what makes me a little bit upset when some people talk about Columbus is that they just write them off as a one-off and a good story. This team has serious staying power. Agree? I think we agree 100%, Pierre. Do we not?
Absolutely. That's why Jimmy went out and got Donnie Waddell to come on the show. The respect that we have on the eye test for what Columbus is doing. And don't forget Jarmo Kekalainen, who got fired from there unceremoniously, and John Davidson. They did a good job there as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of good work and hard work that's been put into what's gone on in Columbus. I think they hired the perfect coach in Dean Evison for this group. He's not the perfect coach for every team. No, for this group, he's a really good coach. And I think Donnie's done a magnificent job stabilizing everything. Very difficult, as you know, Jimmy, with what's going on. I thought that was a great pickup by you to get him on the show the other day. Yeah, but, Jimmy, the one thing about Columbus, you see Marchenko, you see Chinakov.
Your guy.
Jenner's a great leader, but Fantilli.
Oh, my gosh.
This guy, I'm telling you, and Donnie didn't say, no, you're wrong, Pierre. I said, this is Mike Modano. 101. Like, this guy's going to be Modano. Yeah. He agreed 100%. He said, I never heard him compare to him before, but look, when you sit in the war room and you're drawing up plans to shut guys down and you see guys that come in that are similar, you're like, this is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah,
right away you start processing, okay, what do I got to do here? Right? So I'm telling you right now, if you're a guy that does that for a living, you got to draw up plans, that guy's going to be a nightmare. In another year, good luck trying to shut him down.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I'm convinced. I agree with you. He stays healthy last year. He gets that Calder there.
He would have been the rookie of the year last year. I'm just telling you.
By the way, you mentioned John Davidson there. I saw news today that they're going to have him do a special broadcast with Sam Rosen before the season's over, which is really
very appropriate. Two, iconic broadcasting figures. Congratulations to Sam on a masterful career. Just tremendous.
Get him on before the end of the season, Pierre. I'm going to work on that. We'll get Sam on before the end.
We can get Sammy on. Sammy will come on, no problem. We should get John on too. John is tremendous. I had the privilege of being his partner with Doc Emmerich in year one of the NBC contract in 05-06, and we had a ton of fun. I had so much fun working with those guys. Tremendous.
I met him outside the rink, and he's a great guy. All right, next question. Franco, question, hindsight being 2020, redrafting 2023 based purely on organizational need today in 2025. Would you rather have Ryan Backer or Ryan Leonard? I see both as a need, but what's your opinion? I don't want to rewrite his. I mean,
just don't play politics. Answer it.
I know. Yeah, I'd rather Ryan Leonard. That's plain and simple.
So here's what I would present. Imagine having Slafkovsky and Leonard 1-2 on the right side. No fun for the lefty. No fun at all. Like, I'm just telling you, that would be a big problem for a lot of people in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh.
And you're
And
right.
look at Reinbacher's good. No disrespect. None. He's good. He's going to help the Canadiens long term.
That's the only reason I was hesitant, because, you know, I'm here a lot and I know a lot of people here and I listen to the radio here a lot and watch the shows. I feel like this kid's just already behind the 8 ball when it comes to the fans. Like, they're just like, this guy was a mistake. And I don't want that shadow to continue hanging over.
You just got to get out and play. You just go out and play. What I'd like to see, gets healthy. Lott and Laval during the postseason, they go on and win a Calder Cup. Let's just say, boom. Next year, you slide into maybe the third pairing on defense.
And then he's not that elephant in the room.
And you're just deep and you're just coming along the way you should be developed properly. That's all.
Gotcha. All right, next question. Ethan Russell. If Toronto and Ottawa meet in the first round, I might take Ottawa in 6 or 7. Ooh, interesting, Ethan. I'm not saying that's wrong. I could see Ullmark stealing that series.
They better get Brady Tkachuk back.
Yeah.
They're not winning anything without Brady.
That's all. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to get blown out by any means, Ethan. I think I think it'd be so fun to see the Battle of Ontario again. I really do.
They better get Brady back. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. All right. Next question. Mike, do you both notice how many times the Habs cleanly win a faceoff and still don't get possession of the puck? Florida's second goal was a perfect example. It seems to happen too often.
So both goals, by the way, that Florida scored yesterday were off deflections. The first one, Jake Evans loses a face-off, and it goes off his stick. I felt terribly for him. The Sam Miskevich shot is a little bit of bad luck. That's a second Florida goal. He's right, though. Mike's right about they've got to do a better job with their support guys in the wings. And whether it's defenseman and winger, whether it's 2D, they got to do a better job coming in and supporting the center iceman. But he's right. It's a very valid point. It's a really good point.
Good on Mike to observe. Face-offs are so important. All right, next question. Sound the Siren, a Carolina Hurricanes fan cast, and you guys do a great job there. If Buffalo looks to retool, what on earth could that look like? Kevin has got tough decisions. I'm sorry. I'm at a loss of words for Buffalo. I really am, Pierre. And I don't mean that with disrespect. I just don't know how to analyze them anymore. I don't understand this team. They are the biggest enigma in the NHL to me.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Thank you. There you go.
I watch all their games because I'm going to tell you right now, I respect their fan base as much or more than any fan base in the league.
Yep.
And those people deserve a lot. Like I went to school in central New York, but close enough to Western New York. I used to spend a lot of time playing sports in the city of Buffalo, you know, whether baseball, football, hockey, didn't matter. And all I'm going to tell you is, like, and I coached a whack of games there, like a lot. I have so much respect for that town and those people, and they deserve better than what they're getting. They do. They really do.
Yep. All right.
I don't get it, Jimmy. I'm just, you know, I could tell you 9 out of the 10. You give me 10 teams, and I'll tell you 9 times, got to do this, 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 and this. The other one, I'll say, I don't know enough about it. This one, I can't figure out, Jimmy. I can't figure it out. What's going on there?
If you could, you wouldn't be sitting on this podcast with me.
Oh no, I would. Because they'd be afraid to bring me in there.
Well, you know, maybe that's what they need is fear. All right, next question. Randy Workman, question: with the Flames close to signing Suniev, would you play him in the lineup right away?
So Suniev's a spectacular off the rush player. I don't know physically if he's strong enough yet. He's an elite skater, and he's one of those guys that gets faster when he gets a puck on his stick, Randy. I don't think he's as refined as Coronado, and he's definitely not as solid physically as Coronado. So that would be my hesitation on him, especially at this time of the year when it becomes more of a hard game. So, Jimmy, you've seen Suniev a lot too. I mean, you're at one of the games where you saw when my kid hit him. Like,
yep, I know.
You know,
I'm with you.
Here's what I'll say: he's going to be a good NHL player.
He is.
He's going to be a good NHL player.
I think, he needs a little more.
I don't know if he's ready for this right now.
No.
He's going to sign. I think he's going to sign.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'd probably give him a little American League time, a little like what they do with Coronado.
Yep. And speaking of that reminds me, Pierre, we got the time here. Speaking of college hockey, since there are no games this weekend, we are not doing it on campus this weekend. So tomorrow I'm going to be live, and Pierre's going to join me here via StreamYard. I might actually park myself up at this will be Friday. I mean, I'll be live on Friday instead of on campus. So you will be able to ask questions. We'll get response from the Bruins Canadiens the night before, because there's just, a great point by our man in yellow with Sick Podcast. Just saying there's just so much going on. We got to be able to respond to it on Friday. So we will do a live show 4 to 5 on Friday. So tune in for that. You can ask questions. All right. Next question. Ian Lewis, question. Pierre and Jimmy, who do you see as the most likely playoff spoilers this year? Most vulnerable to be victims? Interesting. I think we've kind of.
Spoiler, it could be St. Louis, but they just won 10 in a row. The way they did it last night was pretty awesome. I mean, Robert Thomas over to Cam Fowler and then Roof Daddy on the backhand. That's pretty special.
Well,
Bennington made some good saves in that game too at the right time. He did.
Pierre, I was watching that on my other laptop. I had Habs here, and then I'm watching that, and I'm like, they're going to do it. And there's people in the chat rooms, and they're like, this is the end of the streak. This is the end. But there's just something about that team right now. It's just like the Habs kind of. They're never out of it.
I hate to keep rubbing it in, Jimmy. That boy Boston miscalculated on that guy. That Montgomery guy. They miscalculated. And that's not a knock on Joe Sakic. Or Joe Sacco, not a knock on him.
Nope.
He can only coach the roster that he's got.
No.
It's the same what Montgomery had. He didn't have a good roster.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people out there, and I've had people text me. I get people hitting me up on social media, Pierre, saying, "Oh, you know what? They're going to be fine because the Bruins are going to get David Carl next year." I'm just going to say this, and this is my opinion. Pierre has nothing to do with it. If the Bruins weren't willing to pay market value for Jim Montgomery, who ironically won a national title at Denver, like David Carl, what makes you think that they're going to do so for the most coveted college hockey coach since maybe Montgomery? I mean, what is possessing people to think it's just the Bruins can snap their fingers and this guy's going to come there? He's probably got a zillion offers coming at him right now, and I'm telling you, the Bruins aren't the highest one. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going to say something might be breaking news. I don't know what they're going to do in Chicago, but I would tell you right now, with all the young players that are there and a lot of those guys that played World Junior, and David Carl's been part of that program, I just wonder, I just throw it out there. I don't know why you wouldn't take the Chicago Blackhawks. It is a truly great hockey city. It's an Original Six franchise. They will give you a long contract because they know they're just starting to come out of their funk. They've got enough defense now, and I think with Spencer Knight, they got enough in goal long term. Drew Comesso down in the American Hockey League, so that makes way more sense than Boston. I'll tell you that right now.
Or Philly, for that matter, too.
Philly has another one.
Philly wants experience, and they're on record.
They mess around. Their rebuild's further along. Yeah, and I would just say, if Tockett's out there and they don't hire. Look, if Tockett's out there and they don't hire him, something must have happened. I don't get it. The only other one I'd say about Philly, dark horse, Pat Ferschweiler at Western Michigan University. Keith Jones is a Western Michigan Bronco. Ferschweiler, there's a relation there. And Ferschweiler is a really good coach, and he does have NHL experience as an assistant coach in Detroit for Jeff Blashill. Okay. Don't look past him. Don't look past him. He's a very good coach. He's done a great job with Western Michigan. A great job.
All right. Next question. Ethan Russell, what kind of contract does Lane Hudson get? Cha-ching. The past 2 games against Florida, 6 assists plus 5 rating, 24. I'm just baffled reading that. 24.51 time on ice. Had his first plus rating in March. His defensive game is getting much stronger. He's writing his ticket right now, and I don't think the Canadiens are going to have any problem paying whatever it is.
It's an easy negotiation, Ethan. It'll be easy. Yeah. Just take the top. Take Quinn Hughes' contract. Take Cale Makar's contract. Take Devon Taves' contract. Probably take Jake Sanderson's contract. Kind of balance it out with a little Adam Fox in there, and then just go to work. That's all. That's not going to be a hard negotiation. It won't. It will not be.
All right. Next question. Chris Blue Shirts. Hey guys, I don't know if it's injury related, but Mika and Kreis look disinterested. They need to elevate their play, and I think the Rangers will be fine. Your thoughts? Thanks. Let's go Rangers. Chris, I see what you're saying, but it's like, well, I mean, we're almost at, the playoffs here. Like, at what point is this going to happen? And I'm not singling them out. I'm saying the whole team. There's a lot of guys that got to elevate there that just they show signs and they never do it.
I love hearing from Chris, by the way, because I love his questions and his statements. They're really good. He's a Ranger fan, but he also acknowledges their issues. Their issues there. So I think you go back to probably the start of the year.
Yep.
Who was the meatball in the organization? And I'll say that. I won't use the word I should use. Mm-hmm. Who's the meatball that was leaking about Kreider and Zibanejad to the media? Who did that internally?
Yeah.
That guy should be fired immediately.
Yep. There's a lot I want to say, but I'm going to pass on that. All right, next question. Alex Emanowski. To me, it's going to come down between Columbus and Montreal for that last wild card spot. I agree, Alex. They are the two best teams of the bunch. Columbus has the edge at forward, but Montreal has it in defense and goal. Very good observation, I think, Alex.
Very fair. So Werenski and Hudson are kind of a saw-off on the offense from the defense. I think Montreal, it's the thing about Montreal right now is there's this line with Anderson and Dvorak and Gallagher that's causing a lot of problems for the opponents, Jimmy. I don't know if Columbus has that. I don't know if they do.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the goal, we'll see how Elvis holds up. All right, next question. Stephen Cardinal or Stefan Cardinal, I apologize if I got it wrong. Hey, guys, would you take Tavares, and would he come to Montreal for 7.5 2 years? I think he's staying in Toronto.
I would take Tavares in a Minnesota
I would take
minute. I didn't say New York minute, Minnesota minute. Wait a little bit longer. But I would definitely take him, and that number sounds great, but I don't think he's leaving Toronto. I don't see that.
You know what? Damn it. I forgot to ask Zeiss about that too, because he's one of the great stories of the Leafs there too. The way he handled
I asked Zeiss about the contract. You got a potential RFA in Nyes, you got a potential UFA in Tavares, and you got a potential UFA in Marner. Like, what are you going to do? Yeah. And Zeiss actually answered, and he says they're going to have enough money to do it.
He'll do it.
And he thinks he did say, to his credit, he said Johnny T's going to have to take a discount. And I think he will. Especially if they win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that guy.
When you win, man, it's highly addictive. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's very addictive.
That guy's been such the epitome of sacrificing for the team and for the, just doing it for the team, and like what he did with the captaincy and everything. And everything since then has been so amazing to me, what he's done out there. So
he's an iconic player in the league, by the way. People, I know he's overlooked a lot. John Tavares is an iconic player.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question. Juice _031017. Will the NHL ever go back to 1 versus 8?
Oh, darn.
I hope so.
We hope. Juice, we hope.
It's but Pierre Bettman just seems so adamant about not doing it.
You're going to call him Commissioner Bettman.
Commissioner Bettman, I apologize.
Yes.
The commissioner seems very adamant against it. And is there something we're not seeing there? That's what I want to know.
Well, they went all in on the division stuff.
But it didn't really work.
I know, but okay, let me ask you a question. You know the puck over the glass?
Yes.
They're treating it like it's a revolutionary ideology and rule. There actually was a rule.
Yeah.
It was called delay a game.
Yeah.
And they left it into the discretion of the official. Did the guy do it on purpose or not? Mm-hmm. I remember as a kid standing in the standing room seats in Montreal, and Steve Shutt shot the puck over the glass in the neutral zone. And he did it on purpose because he was ticked off because he didn't score. And he got a delay a game penalty. And everybody's like, what's that for? And they finally had to say, the delay a game is because he shot the puck over the glass. They had a rule for that.
I know.
So I don't know. They never watched. My point is, when they put something in, they're sticking with it. It's like the shootout. Do you really think fans stick around just because they want to see the shootout? Wouldn't they rather see 3 more? You know what they do in the East Coast Hockey League? They don't do 5-minute overtimes. They do 7-minute.
I like it.
And the games usually get decided. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them do.
I think, well, from all accounts, I think we're going towards that right now.
Well, that would be the best thing that could happen.
Yeah. I think what they saw in the Four Nations really got a lot of momentum for that. So we'll see.
And we're not trying to avoid the question, but Jimmy and I are both signing up for, if Commissioner Bettman's watching, we're both signing up 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7,
We are.
3 versus 5. Or 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That's what we're
I
saying.
still, Pierre, to this day, I still have to compute it in my head. Like I still compute it that way automatically, and then I have to realize, oh wait, it's not that. It's just... Next question. Franco, question. Statistically speaking, Suzuki has gotten better each season. In your opinion, what is his ceiling? On pace for 88 points this season, playing with 20-year-old Slav and 24-year-old Caulfield.
Oh, I think he's a 100-point player.
Yeah, I think he can get there.
If he stays healthy, I think he's a 100-point player, especially with those guys. And remember now, too, Hudson's going to really continue to evolve as well. I don't know what their long-term plan is for Laine, but I think Demidov at some point will come in offensively and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Hayes will probably come in and make a bit of an offensive difference. That Montreal power play is going to be lethal, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because you have one of the most creative artists we've seen to run a power play in a long time in the league.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to take from my good friend Maxime Lapierre. He is a franchise player. He is a franchise player.
Maxime is not wrong at all. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, Jimmy, how far do you think Boston wants this retool to go? I think they might need another year to stink and collect assets at least. I just don't see the organization wanting to do that. Agree? Alex, 100%. That's what I'm worried about the most is that ownership. Pierre always says the biggest thing about a rebuild is ownership has to stay on board. I unfortunately, at this point, and I hope I'm wrong, I can't see the Jacobs family staying on board for more than 2 years, even if it might take longer than that. That's just the way I feel. I think it needs to take 3 to 4, maybe even more. But I'm worried about that. That's a big thing there that concerns me.
You have common sense, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, would something like franchise number on a player work in the NHL? Go ahead, Pierre.
I proposed that a long time ago.
I remember it. That's why I gave it to you.
Proposed it a long time ago, and I was yelled at. I said, why can't we do the Larry Bird exemption in the NHL?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go over very well. Didn't go over very well, Jimmy.
Yeah. All right.
So
by the breaking news here, Pierre. Well, not breaking in the last 34 minutes. I'm sure you probably already knew it. Cole O'Hara signed with the Nashville Predators.
they weren't counting on him. They were not counting on him leaving, but Mercury going on and Suniev probably going on.
Yeah.
Cole having the big. I think if some of the guys would have stayed, maybe. I think Cole might have stayed, but he probably had. Of all the players in college hockey this year, points-wise, he probably had the most improved totals of any player in college hockey. So I'm not surprised. He'll have, and there's such a Nashville. Don't get mad at me. Your team's not very good right now. He'll have a great chance to play in the NHL.
Yeah. So it looks like from the tweet here, it looks like he's going to Milwaukee first, and then
he'll go on an ATO.
Yep.
To go to Milwaukee, and then when the season's over, the clock will start ticking on a 3-year.
Okay, and as you beat me to it there too. I was going to say, I mean, they're looking at that team like, let's get some young kids in here.
So the best thing is, and I'm living it with my guy, go to a place where you're going to play a lot. The coach knows your game. The management knows your game. Yep. And you're not going to get buried.
Nope.
Because what's happened so far for a lot of these kids that have come out of college, and I've been watching it because I have somebody that's involved in it. They're going to places and they're not playing.
No, they're like a scratch every.
Yeah, they're either playing like 5 to 8 minutes or they're a healthy scratch. Because remember now, in the American League and in the East Coast League, if you're a coach, you need to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
because it's a volatile business if you don't.
Yeah,
and so they're not, unless they know your game, they're not throwing you in the lineup.
No.
Forget what the scout from Peoria said about the kid. They're not listening to that scout.
No.
That kid, they better know.
They're living in their moment, their situation.
This is their space.
Tunnel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Yeah.
got that nailed. We don't care what's on this side or this side. We're going this way.
Yeah.
So no, and Cole will play a lot in Milwaukee, which is good. And he's a really good player. And I'll tell you one thing, he's a class kid. He's a class kid. He's a real classy kid.
All right, next question. Peter Puck. Hey guys, Montreal signed Mark Estapa.
Michigan guy. Know a lot about him. Big guy, takes faceoffs, can play center or wing. I thought they had kind of checked themselves off when they signed Will Dineen from Yale. So interesting. Estapa's not going to get you a lot of points. He's a grinder. A lot like Condata is. Condata plays for Laval. They're similar type players.
All right. Next question. Is that it? Nope. Ethan Russell. Do you see another UMass guy? Do you see Scott Morrow playing consistently with the Hurricanes next year?
Yeah, he also went. Yeah, UMass. You just said it, but he played for Mid Fairfield with Mackie Samoskevich and Ryan McGuire and a couple other guys. Those were killer teams, by the way. They called them the Evil Empire for a reason. So what I'd say is that he should be a regular in the lineup. He's really acclimatized well to pro hockey. He's more of a pro player, I think, than a college player. Talking about Scotty, so I think he'll do very well there, very well.
All right, next question. Ian Lewis, love the show, guys. Have you found that Caulfield is fighting it a bit the last few games? I don't mean bad play or lack of effort. It just feels like the pucks are bouncing past him, not to him. Yeah, that happens.
Jimmy, you know what? See if Ian will respond to my answer to this, because I agree with what he just said. And Ian, I think the play you're talking about in particular, he was going down the ice in the third period and a puck hit him right on the tape, and it was on his backhand, a right shot on the left side of the ice. If he corrals that puck, he's in, and he's going to score if he gets that kind of space. And I'm watching that, and I'm going, you know what? I've seen him do that 3 or 4 times. But you don't think about it, because in a lot of situations, it's just a scramble of the play. But in this one, there was a lot of open ice, and I think Suzuki put it right on target. And it bounced off his stick, Jimmy. And I'm like, wow, I don't know about that. But, yeah, I think he's going to have to refine himself a little bit, yes.
He will too. He will. And by the way, Suniev is signed 3-year entry-level contract with an AAV of $923,333.
So they say where he's going to start?
Randy, can you clue us in on that? If he is going right to the Wranglers or the Flames? We'll see.
I'm going to say Wranglers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We'll see. All right, next question. Ron LaRoque. Ron, I got your email, by the way. You're asking it here. Yeah, I mean, no, he's going to BC or he's going to Laval.
Can I just say, so maybe Ron will respond to this. I don't know why people would think he'd go in the portal. He's an iconic figure at Boston College hockey. And, I've seen him play, as Jimmy knows, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of big games, too, at BC.
Yeah, and Ron's not there, so he doesn't know. But Ron, I mean, he's like legendary there. And that's one of the reasons he's leaning towards going back is he wants to help him.
I don't think there's any portal for him. And if there is, I mean.
That would be stunning.
So I was talking to somebody today, a former teammate, friend. And I'm going, I know the portal has to happen. And I'm not being hypocritical. My kid went in the portal and, had a great time because of the portal. But I'm just telling you, I'm not a fan of the portal, Jimmy. I'm not. These players just think it's nirvana to go to another school. The grass is not always greener. I'm telling you.
No. And there's something about and call me an old fart or whatever, Pierre, but it's something just about college sports. Like, you committed to this school, it's something different about, I guess I am old and I'm lost, but I mean, it just feels like there used to be this sort of tradition, this sacred thing about college sports and, whether it's football or hockey or basketball, where, you're committed, you're there until if you turn pro, so be it. But you don't just jump ship because you're not getting enough shifts.
It's just, there's something that sits in my, now I'll give you one of our guys is Brett Riley. Brett Riley's one of our guys. He's an eye test guy, and we think the world of Brett here. he's going to have to use the portal to be competitive next year.
I'm not knocking. I mean, it's there.
No, and I'm not either, but I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, "Oh yeah, I hate the portal," except for my friend using it. Because I just.
I mean, I get schools using it. If you got to use everything you can to win, I get that. I just feel bad. Like I feel bad for these kids' former teammates when they're,
Want to hear a scary one? This is actually so. West Point's going to lose Mac Godowski. He was a Hobie Baker nominee, probably their best player this year at West Point. His dad's the coach at Penn State.
Yep.
I know a player, whose father called me yesterday, who has been offered an opportunity to go visit West Point. And I said, wow, what an amazing honor to be thought of to go to West Point. And this player's never going to play pro hockey, but he's a good player. He's a good player. And I'm wondering if the young man will do it.
Yeah.
Because he's in the portal. He's in the portal, Jimmy. Could you imagine if I'm in the portal and I know that I'm probably not going to play pro hockey, but I'm going to play Division I, there's a real good chance I might go there.
All right. We still got 9 questions.
Hey, did Ian send anything back?
Let's see. Yes. Yep. Also, a few wraparounds have jumped past him. You hold your breath waiting for the bid play.
So I mean, we're on the same page. I know exactly the scenario. So you see, Ian's a scout.
Ian, you got. I knew Pierre was going to tell you that. You got a scout's eye there, Ian.
That's good. I like that.
All right, let's go. We're going to roll through these. Boom. Just 031017. Will Michael Hage get on the Canadian World Junior team in 2026?
Yeah, because everything's going to change now because of the CHL and college hockey. So I think he'll have a legitimate chance. It used to be really hard for college guys that were playing from Canada in the United States, but that's not going to hold water anymore. He has to make it, but I think he's got a legitimate chance to do that.
All right, next question. Randy Workman. Question: who would 2 MVP awards work for the NHL? One for the MVP for the team and one for the whole league. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I don't get it. Sorry,
Randy. I don't know if I understand the question. All right, keep going. What do we got? Alex Ivanowski. Pierre, I'm offering you and Jimmy a chance to form our own Adam Fantilli fan club. I think we should strike now before everyone notices he's going to be the best player of 2023 draft class. Agree? I think we've already started here, Alex.
Yeah, no, but just be careful because there's a guy in Anaheim named Leo Carlson who got taken 1 pick before him. That guy's really good too. So here's the difference.
Watch out.
Carlson's is a combination of Barkov and Kopitar. That's kind of what he is. Fantilli is Modano. They're not neither player is the same. They're both really good. But to say one's ahead of the other right now would be a reach, but they're both super elite players. They're really, really
by the way, our good friend Eric Open was out in Anaheim recently, Pierre. He said, I can't believe how good that team's looking right now. And
that's because Coach Cronin's done a hell of a job with that team.
He said that Brian and he said that Tim Ari said to say hello to us, by the way. So
hey.
Next question. Stefan Cardinal, do you guys bring captain with the hat?
Yes, because they're going to trust him with no disrespect meant to Michael Pezzetta or Joshua Roy. They're going to trust him more than either one of those 2 players.
All right, next question. Sound the siren, a Carolina Hurricanes fancast. Guys, more salary cap predictions. When does this information truly come out? Because I'm keen on seeing projected, because projected isn't promised. Bingo.
Well said. And Jimmy's been on that for a long time. But here's the deal, sound the siren. That contract, that Canadian TV contract for $12 billion, they've had that in their back pocket for a long time, and they never told anybody. They never told anybody. And Jimmy and I had the privilege of being with Bill Daly at the Four Nations in Montreal. And we talked to him about this, and I won't talk about the whole conversation because a lot of it was private, but he did say, which wasn't private, don't worry, we will have the money to do it,
to keep up with it. Yep.
And now we know, Jimmy and I talked about it. Now we know where the money's coming from.
Yep, exactly. And by the way, speaking of McLean's Public House, we will be there again tomorrow, 1420 Peel Street, before the Bruins-Canadiens game, 4 to 5 p.m. Join us right there. we'll tee up for the game. Looking forward to seeing Stu and the whole staff there. All right.
Can't wait to see Stu. We'll be there early, Stu.
Yep. What do we got? Next question. Daniel James Duran. Would the Bruins be interested in Gunnar Wolf Fontaine for school?
No, first of all, Gunnar Wolf is a great player. Saw him play at Lawrence Academy. Saw him play at Northeastern. MVP of the Beanpot 2 years ago. Obviously had a huge year at Ohio State this year. Originally drafted by the Nashville Predators. Silky smooth hands, great speed, small, very small. Maybe they have interest in Providence. If they don't like Lizelle, I don't know if they're going to really be in love with Gunnar Wolf. And here's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know this. Gunnar Wolf Fontaine played with Riley Durand, who's a Bruins draft pick at Lawrence Academy.
Oh.
So, they already had a chance to watch him, and they didn't take him then. So,
okay. All right.
But could he play in the American League and be a call-up player? The answer, yeah, he could. He just signed an ATO with Minnesota.
That's what I thought I was going to ask you. Just okay, good.
He signed an ATO. He's going to Iowa.
Okay. All right. Is he going to play with Ryan or the other Iowa?
The other Iowa.
Okay. All right. Next question. Is that it? Oh, no. Ethan Russell. How many years out is Dan Lockmillis from being a consistent NHLer? What type of player will he be in the NHL? Thanks, guys.
Lockmillis is a good player. He's going to be a grinding third-line center that can get you some points. There's a little Charlie Coyle in him. The first time I ever saw him play, he was playing for Kiruna or up in Kiruna for Luleå. He's a really talented kid, and he's tough. He's coachable. One of Coach Carvel's favorites. He's going to have to improve some of his face-off play, but that'll happen as he gets stronger and older. But he's a good player.
Yeah. Ryan Muginal, I saw, was telling the media today that he showed up and Lockmillis was already there at the rink at 7:30 a.m. waiting to go.
That's what those.
There you go. All right, next question. Ian Lewis, Evans, Armia, and Heineman carried the load for the Habs for quite a stretch. Do you think they're done, or can they pick it up again? Because if they do, is there more to that or no, guys?
Well, Heineman bumped up in the lineup. He played with Newhook and Laine. That's number one. Number two, Armia is not 100%, so I think that's a bit of a problem. And Jake's been in a funk since he signed his contract. But I saw a little pushback last night, which was good from him, and I think he'll continually evolve. But no, the Canadiens are fine. Armia's got to get healthy. He's just not the same player.
He'll be all right. All right. Any more? There we go. Marvin Matthews. What's up, Marv? Hello, gentlemen. I don't post questions as often as before, but I watch every episode. That's fine, Marvin. Just want to say that every episode captures some wonderful content and great guests. Thank you. Thank you, Marvin.
Marvin, we so appreciate you. You've been with us right from day one. We're almost 2 years into this thing now, and it's I have so much fun doing it. I'm so grateful for Jimmy's partnership and friendship and hard work. Jimmy puts a lot into this. But I would say this, Jimmy, one of the coolest things we do is we get to go and meet the fans, and we're going to get to do that tomorrow in Montreal. Yeah. Whether you're a Boston fan or Montreal, like I grew up in Montreal, Jimmy grew up in Boston.
Yeah.
My favorite player growing up was Bobby Orr. So,
great segue, Pierre. Like, just going to tell you, I just saw a tweet. I was looking up some college stuff.
Bobby Orr cheering Hobart College. My boy. I texted Mr.
And congrats to Coach Taylor, by the way. I forgot to say that early in the week. My apologies. Congrats to him.
How about that? We had the head coach of the 3-time national champion Hobart Statesman on.
What a dynasty. What a dynasty. But as Pierre
said.
He was
awesome on our visit, too.
Yes, he was great. The pickup truck, remember?
Oh, I do. We should have him back on, huh?
We should. We should get him in McLean's Public House. But until
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
By the way, Jimmy, and I hate to do this. I hate to drop but so I just got an email from the president of Hobart College. His name is Mark Guerin, which is an honor for me, obviously, as an alum. How many times is a president of a university sending you an email?
Right.
And he said, I'm sure you have seen Bobby Orr's post about our win and Khalil's goal. Do you have any advice on how to reach him? Many thanks, Mark. As soon as we're done, I'm going to contact the president of the school, and I'm going to say, this is how I think you can do it. And if you need me to be an intermediary, I will. But I think it's so cool for Bobby Orr to reach. What's wrong with you? You got a date tonight?
No, somebody just won't leave me alone here, Pierre. 1 minute. I'm turning my phone off.
All right. There you go.
There we go.
Anyways, but can you imagine, Bobby Orr following Division III hockey. I think that's awesome. Did you
Yeah.
see the crowd in Utica at the building?
Amazing.
Unbelievable. It was
Rocking
great.
too.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Great stuff there. But again, yes, we will be our next show tomorrow live from McLean's Public House, 4 to 5 p.m. But Pierre and I will be there about 2:30, right around there. Come by, say hello before or after. And we'll get you ready for the Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center tomorrow night. And do tip that staff well because they work very hard and they're great people over there. You go, right there, 1420 Peel Street, downtown Montreal. Remember, not the old McLean's. It's on Lower Peel. This is on Upper Peel. So just if you're walking up and you pass the old McLean's there on your left, keep walking up, cross over St. Catharines. It's about 3 doors up on your left. You'll be right there at McLean's Public House. Cannot wait for that. But until then, thanks to our wonderful staff at the Sick Podcast, Sammy and Agnello working the boards. Thanks to you, the viewers and the listeners, and for all your questions.
Before you go, doesn't Sammy have a big event on Saturday?
He does, the Sammy Gala, but it's sold out. It's completely sold out because that's everyone knows where we're.
I would explain why I never got invited.
Looking forward to that. I will be there. There it is, Sammy's Gala, but unfortunately sold out. But you can still always donate to the cause to SMA Canada right there.
What an awesome family. The Caballeros are an awesome family. We're so proud to be part of their team. Really proud. Yep,
for sure. And before we go, kind of a somber note, but I want to give a shout out to my friend Graham Morrison, to his family. I found out on the way up here, a good friend of mine, huge Bruins fan, watched the podcast a lot. Passed away from cancer last night at 58. Just not good. So we're thinking of the Morrison family right now and all our friends. And he was close with the Dropkick Murphys as well. We're thinking of them as well. So this one's for you, Graham. Until tomorrow, this has been another edition of the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.